Hey, what's up? We should be live. Thank you so much for joining me today. All the 18 people that I see right now watching, thank you so much. I had a bit of a scare because I hit the start streaming on my software. I was waiting for YouTube to react. It's like nothing happens and nothing happens. So like, does it not work? Did I mess something up in the setup? But then I got that nice blue go live button. Here I am. Thank you so much for being here. As I mentioned, today we're gonna do a kind of sketchbook tour live stream, which we haven't done in a while. Because I did that, let me just rearrange this. There we go. Because I did that live stream on Tuesday, special live stream for the Aussies, I wanted to do something a little more laid back for myself. Painting twice in the same week when I have to explain and narrate every single thing I do is very tiring, and I decided I want to take it easy. So thank you so much for being here. You're gonna see some fun stuff. Let me switch over to the desk camera here. So I have the mandatory coffee here, and I got a sketchbook ready to go. This is actually a unique one, and I'll show you. Some of you have seen it, but it's like a pretty big gray toned sketchbook, so that's going to be interesting. We're going to start with that. I tried having a nice mix of both watercolor and sketches. Now let me open up the stream on my end here on the YouTubes, just so that I can see your comments more easily. Here we go. YouTube never recommends me my own live stream. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to mute myself. Thank you so much. Let me know where you're from, what time it is. I do see some people here in the chat, so let's get to it. I see Thanga says, waiting eagerly. It is 7:30 p.m. in India. Cool. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome aboard. Why don't I just put my phone here in front of me so that I actually see something? We have Christine Bourgeois says, hello all. Hey, Christine. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Albu. He's saying Inky right on time this time. Nice. I mean, you didn't write this time. I'm saying this time. Megan Kelly, hello everyone. Saying Inky, my favorite smiley face is live. Thank you so much. By the way, the emoji you used is one of my favorites. Thanga says, hi. Just chilling says, I made it, finally. Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone. Here's Amy Weaver says, hello from South Carolina, East Coast, US. Pat, hey, how are you, Pat? Hello from Canada. I'm going to open up my coffee can. We do have Richard Jennings, hello from Northeast UK. We have Vespa, hi from Granite, or Granite, I never know how to pronounce it. In Hebrew, we say Granite. Bay, California. Got it. Thank you so much for being here. Of course I have. How are you, my friend? Nancy G, morning, 9 a.m. in Akron, Ohio. Cool. Ohio, always in the house. He says, Germany, Munich, 3 p.m. Oh, nice. So we are 1 hour ahead of you. We're 4 p.m. John, my friend, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope everything is well with you. So I will give a couple of updates while we look through these sketchbooks, and then I'll, of course, revisit the chat and make sure that I see everyone's messages. If you have any questions for me regarding the sketches that I'm going to show you, let me switch over to the overhead camera. If you have any questions in regards to anything at all, not just the sketches and paintings that I'm showing you in the sketchbooks, of course, feel free, as always, to ask away. Some of you have seen on Instagram, I actually just posted this painting right here. It turned out really nice. This is going to be, and I'm going to set the autofocus to not be auto, as always. This is going to be our painting subject for Saturday. So another vid I'm pretty stoked about. I think I nailed the process really nicely. The focus actually looks okay, but let me just make sure that it is. You see, it can always be better when I do it manually. Save, and let us do and these are things I can't really set up in advance, so my apologies. The white balance, as always. No, it's okay now. It's on manual still. So that's good. Okay, good. Perfect. So we're kind of okay. Is it too yellow? I don't know. I think it's okay. So yeah, painting I'm proud of. Turned out really nicely. The technique, everything, and it's going to talk about how to set the tone for a painting by doing an initial wash and then kind of the approach. You'll see everything's on point, good quality. I will show you the mixing area really well, the water bucket, everything. Let's get to this first sketchbook now. I just need to vet this because I don't remember. Yeah, okay, good. I just want to make sure I didn't write anything personal here. I don't think I have, because sometimes I do write notes. Okay, yeah, that's a storyboard. That's fine. That's fine. Sorry that I have to pre-vet this. Oh man, these are terrible. I have so many bad sketches here. Okay, yeah, we're gonna skip this page. Just because sometimes I'm such an idiot. Sometimes I'll just write down like personal stuff that has nothing to do with sketching. And then when I when it's time to show the sketches, I'm like, oh, whoops, shouldn't have written this note. Let's see. Okay, good. We're good. The rest I don't have to pre-vet. That's the only one I'm not sure what's in. So yeah. Let's see here. Okay, that's good. Oh, I have a bunch of this is one heck of a sketchbook. I have so much stuff here. So let me see what you're saying in the chat here. I do see Andrea Sims. Good morning from Colorado, 7 a.m. Dean says good morning from Philadelphia. Liron, good to see you. Good to see you too, Dean, my friend. John Restucci, message retracted. Send it. Oh, I see. Hello, Liron. Greetings from Italy. Thank you for being here. Minakshi says, is watercolor painting gaining popularity lately? Well, I think that wherever you search for popularity, you'll slowly find it. In a way, it's funny. Oh man, this is all empty. I didn't even remember. I have work to do. I'm gonna fill this out. I didn't even remember all of this is empty. Okay, wow, I have a lot of work to do. So let me open it up so that we have something to look at. But yeah, it's a good question. Is watercolor gaining popularity? I think it's always been popular. It's still one of the big three for me, like oil, acrylics, watercolor, I guess. Maybe pastels could be put in that category. To me, it's one of the popular ones, regardless. And by the way, I will take this moment to ask you, if you can, please drop a like on the live stream. Really helps it reach more people. I'd be forever grateful. One more thing I will say is I was extremely busy in trying to reorient myself for 2022, which is why I've been less available, less responsive everywhere. Like everywhere. Messages, emails, Discord. So my apologies. This will hopefully change. I am working on a few big things that I think you're going to really love. 2022, I think, will be a good year. So just saying, just a quick little side update there. So if you can take a moment to like this stream, it will be amazing. Thank you so much. Saint Inky, are you? So yeah, I mean, actually, I just think it's always been popular, and I think that good work will be popular forever. So if you have a solid foundation, you know how to use the medium, you build that creativity and you build that immersion in the process, your work will be good and it will gain popularity. That's really what I believe. But I think a lot of people just like it because it's a very accessible medium. It's very easy to get into. I think a lot of people during lockdowns have gotten into painting because I see a lot of people who barely posted before. And I did see, by the way, quite a lot of people who said started painting during the lockdown, started painting during COVID, and their work is great. So I'm like, wow, you've only been painting for a year and a half, 2 years. Pretty crazy stuff. So yeah. Saint Inky, are you going to release a book on watercoloring? You developed so much in the past few years. Yeah, thank you so much. I am planning to, but I want to make it really good. And until I feel like I have something that is mine, that is really well built and is unique and will provide something new, that's when I'll do it. So until then, I won't. Now, what I am planning on doing is the 100 Cars picture book. A couple of interesting things about that I cannot update yet, but I think there will be a surprise with that book. Okay, so basically I've been working on the 100 Cars challenge for a while now, probably been about a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I do plan on consolidating everything into a book. I'm gonna have to see how I do this, but I have a few really cool ideas regarding the book and the original artwork, so you gotta stay tuned for that, just saying. But there will be a watercolor book, probably in the range of maybe 3 years, 5 years, who knows. So yeah, let's get to it. Monica, I see your message. I'll get back to it, but thank you so much. We're all Da Vinci's here. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to continue from there, don't worry. Let's look at some sketches just so that we get into the topic of this live stream. So I wanted this initially to be my fundamentals sketchbook where I work on life drawing, still life, shape, mass, volume, blah, blah, blah. Correct grip of the pencil. First sketch I did was me studying in the living room, and it's so funny. So I mixed the white pencil, and I know you can barely see. The thing is, this paper is terrible for fundamentals. It looks cool. You think to yourself, oh, this is neat. I can bring back highlights. I can go dark. I hated it. I honestly recommend, if you're gonna practice fundamentals, do it on a white or at least a little tone, like, you know, a yellowish, like kind of like watercolor paper that isn't white. Don't do it on this kind of a brown paper. It just does not work well. Okay, now I want to show you, I did work on fundamentals. Like you see these faces and heads, I put a lot of effort into in building them, but this is from, and I do have the date here somewhere, I think. Did I date this one? Just to give you some context, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2019 maybe. I don't have any dates here. I think it should be 2019 or 2018, but it was right before I started truly diving deeper on volume and three-dimensionality, even more than in the past. So a lot of these works, they look good, but what they do lack a bit is that solid structure, really building it up from a solid structure. But even if you're not as great at that, you can still create something that's fairly good looking, right? But the more like actually building the solid foundation. So if I were to recreate one, or not recreate, but I'll just show you real fast, to really build that three-dimensional shape and the tilt of the oval representing the skull and the everything else, and to cut out the side of the head, it's just not present here. So all of these were done using a very basic approach. Still, you know, an oval, kind of dividing it, but not to the level that I am today. So it does show a bit. You'll also see this in my gestures, for like here. There are some cool gestures, and I have to say, I believe these two were made from imagination. If I'm not mistaken, you know what? I remember now. So let me see. Yeah, I think it's that. So here's an interesting story. Some of you have been following, you know, I did the deviated septum surgery, right? I had a really bad problem. I could barely breathe on my right nostril. I'd have to sleep on my right side, basically. And it was just terrible. It's been like this for 7 years or so, 6 years. 2019, April 2019, if I'm not mistaken, was when I decided to take care of it. And I remember because I took this sketchbook with me to the hospital for the prep exam for the surgery, for the prep checkup. So I remember doing these two from imagination. Just saying. This one probably too, because it looks terrible. And hopefully, again, you can see some of the details. I know it's not, toned paper it's a bit hard to see as well. So these are people in the waiting room with me, you know, a bunch of people sitting down. And I think in the next page, you'll see the coolest one, in my opinion. Let's see, just want to make sure. Yeah, sometimes I'm getting messages. Want to make sure I don't miss anything that's crucial. So this is one of my favorites. These two, I think I really got them nicely. And hopefully you can see them well. This was a mother, a daughter, another woman. I just got the because I know, like, this is really nice too, but this I got the likeness too, so that was fun. You know, side view sometimes is forgiving, believe it or not. You don't have to worry about symmetry and stuff like that. So yeah, that was nice. This is some storyboards for like a comic idea I had. I'm not gonna stick too long on these because I just don't remember if it's important stuff that will be included in my upcoming manga that I'm kind of working on, and who knows when. So I'm kind of gonna skip on it. You can pause the video and read everything if you can read Hebrew, that is. Early character designs. This is most similar to the one I've ended up going with. But you can tell that these things are a little more uncanny than my recent stuff, just because I didn't have the same control over proportions. For example, this face here, everything, and I know you can barely see, everything's squished together, like the proportions are all off. The eyes should be taller, the nose, the face should be longer, like a bunch of stuff that I just wasn't paying attention to. Here, the mouth is way too high. It's all of these small things that just are inaccuracies, right? This is nice. This is when I decided to actually draw or attempt to draw a full comic page. So I didn't even get to these, but this turned out really nicely, just a cityscape. Can't believe I went through all this trouble just for a random storyboard that I didn't know what I'm gonna do with even, but it was nice practice. And here we have a page from Berserk that I tried to recreate. I did post this in quite a lot of places, so you may have seen this. Terrible. This is really inaccurate. I can see that this is crazy. I haven't looked at this probably in a year or two, and now I can tell how many. The fact that I can find so many mistakes now means that I've probably improved in skill. That's the point. So even if you don't feel like you've improved, probably if you practice, you have improved. I can notice all sorts of things that are wrong proportion-wise. Anatomy. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't even notice all of these things. So cool. We're seeing this together. So let me revisit the chat as we have something nice to look at. And let us see. what you're saying. Where was I? Here we go. Monica is saying, yeah, Liron, we are all Da Vinci's here. Thou shalt be judged. Leona Rodriguez says, new Sabi, so happy to be here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's amazing. Did you just discover the channel, or are you like from the recent videos? Let me know. Cool. So happy to have you here. Morwan says, hi Liron, hi everyone. Richard Jennings, sorry this is off topic, but have you got any advice about selling work at markets? I'm sure I saw a video and you said you have done it in the past. I'm nervous about putting myself out there. Yeah, I think I should have a video on that. If you search my channel for art fair selling tips, something like that, you should find it. I can actually check real quick because I do have a lot of tips on that. But I would need to know more information, I guess, like where it is, what's the vibe, what kind of people go there, what you're gonna sell in more detail. But just to art fair selling, just to maybe initial context. Yeah, okay, I have this. 5 tips to sell more paintings, artworks in art fairs. So I'm gonna drop it in the chat, and hopefully that's gonna help. I did that in 2019, and then I stopped because it wasn't time effective. Art fairs wasn't time effective for me, but I did sell quite a bit there. I actually sold a lot for a newbie, just because my English is good and there were a lot of tourists there. So yeah, check that out, and definitely happy to go into more details. Feel free to provide more, and I'll help. But basically, the one thing that I think is universally leads to more sales and being a good salesperson is having the customer in mind always. For me, it's to the level where I'm almost selfish on their behalf. So if I know my product isn't for someone, I'm not even gonna try and sell. I'm gonna prevent them from buying it, right? Sometimes I'll get emails asking about my courses, and the thing I like to do is if they say they're looking for something and my course is kind of but not really addressing that, I'll just say it's probably not for you, and then I'll direct them to something more relevant. That's the best thing you can do. You really have to be selfish on behalf of the customer, and really listen. One of the things that really helped me was to actually listen to the people in the art fair and asking a lot of questions, because it was really important for me to understand what they're looking for. And the number of times people ask me for stuff, and I asked a few questions, and then I remembered I have something super relevant to what they asked. They actually can't wait to buy it because it's relevant, right? There was someone from India who, the likelihood of her watching this is super low, but she said she was looking for something a little unique. And I had this, and it was a gift for her father. And I had this painting that I did, and I have a video of it on the channel, painting without a pencil, like with no pencil lines. And it's a scene from somewhere in India. Like, India is huge, I know, but it's somewhere there. And then it clicked, and I remembered, I'm like, this is probably one of the only ones I have here that I painted without pencil. And it's a scene from India, and she loved it. She got it on the spot. She was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this one. So you have to listen. Everyone tries to sell what they want. No one cares about what you want. All the customer cares is about what they want, right? Other general advice, like be talkative, be genuinely interested in people. There are some hacks too, like you can do a lot of things to attract people to your table, and I'm all for it, just to get a bit of attention. One thing that I think is universally known is when there are a few people at your booth, there's more people at your booth, and then there's more and more and more. It's like noise brings more people in. So it is good. Some people are like, don't use too gimmicky stuff because then you'll get the wrong audience and they won't buy anything. Like, for example, if you provide, I don't know, lemonade for people, a lot of people are going to show up, but none of them are going to buy, and they're just going to block the way to people who do want to buy, right? But on the other hand, there is a balance, right? Because if you do get a few people, then more people will buy. It will depend also on how mainstream your product is. Watercolor art, I found, was very niche in my art fair. It's something I knew pretty early on whether the person's even interested in that or they're just appreciating the art. Okay? Just my 2 cents. I have a lot more to say about the art fair, actually. There's so much, like the politics and the other artists' interactions. I don't care. If you give me more questions, you may bring out something interesting and juicy. So feel free to. Hope that helps, Richard. Richard, that was a side tangent. Marwan, thank you so much for the kisses from Italy. My friend Francisco Flores, hi, how are you? Brock Shimek, how many mediums do you use? Just watercolor, pen, and pencil. Yeah, I believe that's it. White Rosa says, hi. Talia's Art Studio. Glad to finally catch one of your live classes. Thank you so much. So this hopefully is going to be entertaining, but it's not a class this time. So I'm just doing a sketchbook tour. So let's do this. I'm going to continue going over some of these sketches. We got Pikachu here. This was a nice little exercise in perspective. So the way you tilt. So I imagined I have this spike or something, and I put pieces of paper on it. And there are different angles. These are the ones you look down on. These are the ones you look up on. Not an easy thing to do. This is kind of how you do it, by the way, just if you're curious. That's how I did it, at least. It's a cylinder, basically. And then you try to realize, or, for example, in this case, it's going to be like, this is the top part, and this is the bottom part, right? So this is where our point of view, and everything above it we're looking up on, everything below we're looking down on. And then these ovals are eventually what's going to create these pieces of paper or whatever that is, right? And then this you look at from above. So it's going to be like this, something like that. Just, I put a lot more time and work into this one. It's just a fun, tough exercise to do. A bunch of gestures, that's always nice. Maybe after this we'll switch to a watercolor sketchbook to keep things interesting. Berserk, I was heavy in Berserk. Unfortunately, Kentaro Miura, the author, passed away, so no new Berserk for us forever. Forever strugglers. But I did really enjoy doing a lot of fan art, and I will do more in the future. A bunch of heads, faces, all sorts of angles. Some more generic Loomis heads, you see here. In others, I used 3D models just to kind of get the basic structure. I'm using 3D models a lot just to rotate it and get a bit of reference to how the facial features look in different angles. That's really useful. A bunch of these. I think there should be a lot more, yeah, in many different angles. So I just basically rotated the model and did another one and another one. So you can see I started side view, and then it goes a little towards us, and a little more and a little more. This one turned out really nice. I know you can barely see, but it turned out really, really nice. Thank you, Monica. That scene with the building is superb. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a tough one. I assume you're talking about this one, right? This. And this is the plan for it, by the way. I planned it, and then I did the bigger one. So yeah, thank you so much. Let's see here. A lot of heads. A lot of... Oh, I forgot I had this. I need to use these designs. I completely forgot they exist. It's so funny. This is so funny. I need to use these for my upcoming manga. Man, this is good. This is nice hair design. It's gonna be a nightmare, and I'm gonna swear every time I try to draw this character with this hairstyle, but this is neat. Yeah, I like that. A bunch of figures and gestures and all sorts of things. Trying to create some characters. I have no idea what this is. I don't even remember doing this. This is crazy. I don't even remember what it was. That's insane. This guy is really squashed. But this is decent. I think this is a decent design. Could be improved, but a decent design. Story. Another story plan. Gestures. Oh, this is nice. These are Berserk studies. So Griffith and this. What's her name? What's his helper kind of name? Is it not Anya? I forgot. I doubt anyone will remember here, but if you do, let me know. I forgot her name. Some angry guts poses. Try to figure out where to put the mouth. That's always a challenge. Gestures. I improved a lot in gestures. I can just take out like a recent sketchbook and show you. This is actually interesting. I wasn't planning on doing a comparison, but just to show you a current gesture, okay? Because it's really insane the amount of growth you can have. It's just 2 years. It's not that crazy of a time frame, right? I'm just looking for a gesture because I did a lot of structures here mainly. Let's see here. I have gestures of Ruth. Let's open up a human being. Where did I do gestures here? I probably have tons of them in a previous sketchbook. But, oh yeah, there we go. So these are some recent ones. Like if you compare the line quality of these, this I had to develop, and I did a video I think with this one. But look at the line quality difference. See? And how it really, this is much more effective in showing the movement, right? So if you feel like you're not improving, you make, oh, here's a good one. So this was ice skaters, I find are excellent models for gestures. And if you compare this to some of these gestures here, like the flow and efficiency here is so much better. Just 2 years, you know? Maybe 2.5, I don't know. I don't even know. Oh yeah, that's when I was reading Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. I don't even remember what this experiment was. Oh yeah, you're supposed to draw a self-portrait from imagination. I actually did a decent job. Person from memory. Yeah, good thing I didn't write down who that is, because I don't remember, and that could have been embarrassing. Hand. Drawing the hand. And again, if you compare this to my recent hand drawings, they're much more structured, right? They're much better. This was a neat exercise where you draw something upside down and then you flip it, and it's super accurate because you weren't taken aback by, you know, preconceptions and things like inaccuracies that are very easy to fall into. Recalled childhood landscape. That's funny. Something I drew when I was a kid. And that's pretty much it. The rest is like a story preparation thing. So yeah, as you see, let me leave it on some of the gestures and just kind of put these for comparison's sake as I look at some more of your chat messages. But this, like, look at the difference. It's crazy. I wouldn't even remember that there was such big of a gap, you know? Okay, let's see. Saint Inky, cars sound good. Not too many books out touching that subject. One that comes to mind would be the sketchbook from the Franz Bellevue Van Stone. Interesting. So it's not going to be an educational book. It's just going to be a picture book. My book, that is. It's just going to be like a coffee table book. If you want a nice paper with nice paintings to look at and flip through, that's it. It's not going to be an instructional book. Just important to note. I will do an instructional one at some point, but it's going to be watercolor more generally. It's not going to be cars. Judy Harris, hi from Massachusetts, US. Morwan says, is Berserk? Yes, all of this is Berserk. It's guts. All of this. Monica says that scene with the building is superb. Thank you so much. Just chillin', my friend. Recognizes guts. There was also this kid. I forgot his name. I forget the characters' names because I haven't read for a while. What's his name? The kid. The annoying kid. I keep wanting to say Serpico, but it's not Serpico. What's his name? This idiot. Wait, I'm gonna find it. Berserk, annoying kid. I can't believe I forgot. Annoying kid. Isidro, of course. How can I forget? It's been a while. You know what? When I think of it, there hasn't been a new episode and a new chapter of Berserk for what? Like 6 months now? So it actually makes sense that I won't remember anything. So yeah. Let's see. Monica says, and so are these we see now. Thank you so much. Jessica says, buenos dias. Thank you. Have a great day yourself. And thank you for being here. Aaron Black, hello everyone. Hope you are all having a wonderful day. Talia's Art Studio. Curious which number pencil you use for sketching on watercolor paper before painting. Yeah, it's just a normal number 2 medium pencil. I'll use it either in this form and I'm known for using notoriously short pencils after I sharpen the heck out of them, or something like that, like a mechanical pencil. I do think at least a medium for me. I don't like using the harder leads at all. I have one here that I'm barely using. I think it's this one, 6H. This has no use for me. It's so light, I hate it. And it won't come off the paper as easily. I did get a few nibs for this that were, or not nibs, what do you call it, leads that were also B, or also H on the H side, and I hated them. So I only use B, either HB or B, which is the softer leads, the darker leads, right? So for example, I'd much prefer using something like this, which is a 6B. It's going to be very dark very easily, as opposed to an H, right? But this is an HB, it's a medium pencil. The darkest it's going to get is this, and it's quite a difference, right? Whereas the 6B can get super dark, but the good thing about 6B is that it can also stay light if you keep it light, you know? You can also use both if you want to, but for me it's really, I have to have some strength. I can't do that for hours until I see something. but just a normal HB pencil for watercolor, for these sketches, for everything you see here. I'm very simple when it comes to materials. Vespa asks, what medium is the white highlights in your sketches? Yeah, that's going to be a white pencil that I have here. It's not as good. It doesn't work as well on this sketchbook. And actually, it's not opaque enough. It smears very easily. I don't know what it is. I just got it randomly in an art store. Faber-Castell Pit Pastel. So it's a pastel, I guess. It's meant for smearing, right? It's not a white, proper white pencil. But that's what I used. I believe I also used a bit of my white gel pen, but it just doesn't gel too well with this paper. It doesn't hold really well. I don't know why. This paper is pretty useless, and it's tiring for the eyes, to be honest with you, because you really have to squint to see stuff because of the low contrast. I don't recommend this as much for studying. It could be cool to actually paint over this with acrylics or gouache. Maybe use it opaquely completely and then use lighter paints to go lighter than the paper. That could be interesting, but I've yet to try it. Amy, suggestions for new sketchers to practice first. Examples, sketching simple scenes, shading 2D shapes, making... Yeah, so my big thing would be, if you want to really improve, go for simple 3D shapes, like cubes, boxes, cylinders. So even this could be considered a little complex, right? So ideally, so this is going to be like a top, you can't see anything, like a top and a bottom, but then the shape is like rounded, right? I exaggerated it on purpose, but it's rounded. I would prefer you practice simple cylinders, just cylinders. And it's not as easy as you'd think. It's not like you're drawing the same cylinder. You ask yourself, what will happen if I rotate it? So if I rotate it so that this oval is less open, right? Or what happens if I really look dead ahead on it, right? So it may be just aimed at me, right? Like this. So these shapes are gonna build everything, because you see these faces are composed of these shapes, right? A lot of people try to skip to that stage, and I do appreciate sketching from observation. That's a skill you need to develop on a parallel kind of line. So you work on observation, but also structure. Start with the basics, not even scenes, not even people, unless that's, again, that's the drawing from life or gesture drawing, like you're working on really getting those smooth, curvy lines and stuff like that. That's okay for technique more, but for actual visual stuff, you gotta start here. That's like the best advice I can give you. There are a lot of good YouTube videos on the topic. And make it fun, you know, mix in something more complex, mix in like this, just from observation, see where you get, right? And see what you gotta work on. The answer is always like a bit of both, I guess, right? Tommy, my friend, is here. Hey, Liron, love your content, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much, my friend. I don't know why your first message was retracted, but thank you so much for being here. You promised that you enjoyed it, you have, so I really appreciate it. Judy Harris, Liron, did you go to school for your art, or are you self-taught? Your work is wonderful and you're a great teacher. Thank you so much. I am self-taught. I haven't gone into any school or anything like that. I have self-taught, like I really put a lot of time and effort, and hopefully am to this day, to teaching myself and really improving my skills and working on a lot of different things, and to constantly try and, I guess, challenge myself. Because in a way, and I think I have shown you this sketchbook, but we'll take a bet on it. In a way, when you're self-taught, you really have to make sure you don't plateau and go into your comfort zone, because it's much easier to do when you don't have any outside forces that are kind of forcing you to try something new, right? So a good thing about art school is the fact that the teachers are going to challenge you, right? They're going to give you really difficult exercises that you have to work really hard on. And when you're self-taught, you're running the risk of kind of stagnating, right? And you don't want that to happen. So you have to put in the work. But yeah, I'm self-taught. And I plan on continuing to learn. You know, learning never stops, really. Definitely not when you finish art school. Saint Inky says, I think that was Picasso like Cubism. Oh yeah, I saw that. This thing I did on the side, I don't even remember doing. Emmy Weaver, any other teachers of senior adult watercolorists? I love to connect with you. Please tag me in that chat. Oh, cool. That's nice. Richard says, thank you for the advice. I'll check out the video after the stream. More info. Weekend Market sells a wide range of stuff. I want to sell watercolor prints and originals of landscapes and animals. Cool, cool, cool. So one thing I would do and let's open it up on this one. So this is, and I think I've shown you, so we'll go fast over this sketchbook, but this is probably my first or second watercolor sketchbook. 2016 is right about when I started. It's crazy to think. It's not that long ago, right? It's like 6 years ago, but still crazy. So yeah, we'll get into that in just a second. But notice how I just used gray, which I don't normally do as much, right? It's not really a gray building, but that's funny. So here's what I will say, and you give more context. My mom has a stall there every other week, and she has suggested putting some stuff out on one of her tables. Yeah, cool. So what I would actually recommend, Richard, is if you're really going for landscapes and animals, and that's the thing you enjoy and your specialty in a way, I would actually go all in on that. Now, have variety, of course, but having a theme can really help, because then people from afar can tell immediately, oh, this is something interesting that I'll be interested in. So, for example, if someone's into that kind of a thing, they see from afar your animals and they're like, I love that. I want to look at more works. And then your art becomes not just watercolor paintings, but rather the thing that it is more like animal paintings or whatever animals represent, right? It's a theme now, and that can really help boost sales. So that's another thing I would say. Put a wide variety of works. You never know what people will love, but when you do find something that people love, you can make more of that. That's actually a very common thing that occurs, and you'll find yourself painting similar things, and then you fall into the trap of doing it too much, so you can kind of lose your creative juices and feel like you're dying creatively, and you have to go back to doing whatever you want. So just there's a lot of nuance that goes into that. But yeah, I hope I helped. I think that will be a good idea. Now, if your mom wants to put it as a part of her stall and it's going to be like 1 or 2 paintings, you'd have to experiment with that. I'm not sure. What I know that works is like a whole table that's a theme, something that's clear from afar. You know, that you have to really think about how your works show from afar, right? Are they large enough to attract people from afar? Do you have any other means of maybe hanging them higher behind the table? Or you got to think about the presentation. Go to the art fair. I'm sure you already have, but go there, look at what people are doing, look at what people who succeed doing, and basically copy their thing. And you're not really stealing from anyone, because your art is probably completely different from that other person. You're just learning the best practices. CY, hey Liron, besides from watercolor, what art medium would you want to try out? What would I want to try out? I would have said in the past oils, but I just played around with opaque mediums and I just don't like it as much. It's not as fun to me, you know? Maybe more time using markers, what's it called? You know, the popular ones. I have them here. I don't remember the names of stuff. I haven't looked at it in a while. What are these called? The Copic markers. Yes, Copic. I wanted to say Pantone, but these, I think it's an old brand. I don't know if they exist still, but yeah, Copic markers, maybe devote more time to them. You just need a lot of them to create something. You know, I have 6 colors that don't work with one another, so that's something I may want to try out a little more. But they're super expensive too. They're really, really expensive. Morwan says, you're my favorite artist. Thank you so much. You give me a lot of motivation. That's amazing. That's very humbling to hear. Thank you so much, Morwan. I'm really happy I can help that way. Bob says, Berserk mangaka died. Yeah, unfortunately, Kentaro Miura passed away. That sucks so bad. And honestly, I don't mind someone else picking up that. And I'm going to scroll through this. I don't mind someone else. This is in Prague, by the way. I don't mind someone else taking up the mantle. Having his assistants do it with the story that hopefully he left behind. I would love to see that, but who knows, you know? Who knows? It sucks. I have 3 deluxe edition volumes here, 1, 2, and 4. I wish there would be more stuff to read. I love it. I love Berserk. These are sketches, prep sketches I did for a painting I actually sold of the street where the art fair is. And I'm so happy I did this prep sketch because it really helped me realize how I want to arrange the values. So these kinds of sketches, again, I don't always do, but sometimes they're very helpful. Now I believe, so this is from, it's so funny, this is from 2016, right? If I'm not mistaken, I actually picked this up randomly like 2 years ago or 3 years ago and just did these sketches. So these are much newer. These are 2019 probably. But everything else here is old. This one I haven't completed because I lost motivation. I don't remember if this, my friend did this, I think. My friend sketched me because I wouldn't get the proportions like this. I'd get them wrong in a different way, if I'm not mistaken. This is a chair. Chair. The chair in our apartment in Prague, it's dirty due to the color not properly absorbed, but the real chair was also dirty. So yeah, so it makes sense. This chair actually, so I used Van Gogh paints, and this was the red, the strong red that dries unevenly. It is a bit annoying to use, even though I love Van Gogh. I think they're a great starting point. But yeah, this was our chair. At least I got that nice little shine here on the edges of the. Yeah, that's nice. This, don't ask me what that is. It's an interesting story. We went to Prague for a Teal Swan seminar. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's like a spiritual kind of thing. Don't ask me where that came from. Honestly, I don't even remember if I painted this. Some of it maybe. But this I remember. So this was the curtain also in our apartment. So that was fun experiment just with pencils, and the paper is textured, so that's always nice. This was one of our guides in the workshop, in Teal Swan's workshop. Or one of the participants, I don't remember. I think it was someone who helped her. Some weird sketches trying to mimic her art, Teal Swan's art. It's just barely visible, but like it's just like a mandala kind of thing, but not really. A beginning of something that never saw its end. Random stuff. These are my old sketchbooks. I had no idea what I'm doing, so like random stuff all over the place, right? What is this? I can't even tell you. Oh, it's a chair. Okay, good. I can tell you. I was like, what am I looking at? Yeah, it's a chair. It is just a chair with some cross-hatching. These are fun to make. An attempt at a portrait. A good attempt at a portrait. This is a really good one. This is one of my favorites that I did with pen and ink. And it was just a moment of creativity. I think a drop of water fell on it, so it smeared some of it. But that's a really nice one. Sketched my friend. That turned out really, actually, the likeness is good here. A beginning of a car. I did this outside and then we had to go or something. I don't remember. Another beginning of a car. Same story. I was really not committing to a sketch back then. I could just reuse this sketchbook and just enjoy myself. Now, in the next, these are gems that I had and I wanted to paint. In the next page, and you may have gotten a glimpse of it, is probably my first good watercolor. The first one I was like, this is good. So let me show you. This one, the 2nd of June 2016. This was like, this is a Hyundai Getz. You can tell immediately. So that was a big milestone for me. Getting all of these patterns of light and shadow on the side here, cast by a tree that was behind it. This was a big one for me. I really am pleased with how it turned out. I think I used my Van Goghs for this one too. If you want to see it up close, hopefully you can see some of the details a little better. But yeah, this was a serious milestone for me. But in any case, let me see what else you're saying. Josephine says, I made it. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Talia says, sorry, one more question. Yeah, no worries. Do you use masking fluid to block out the highlights in your paintings, or do you use a different method? I'll very rarely use masking fluid if I feel like it will really improve the result. I did use it for the gas cans painting. If I must, I will, but I try not to use it because I just don't enjoy it as much. Sometimes I'll use this masking tape, and you can cut out a piece, put it there, and it will mask it pretty well. That's why it's called masking tape, I guess. It's not really for taping stuff. It's more for masking stuff when you're painting around the house, right? But it's good for that as well. You just gotta make sure you use a decent one. Otherwise, all the water is gonna seep from under it. But yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. If it's really pertinent and important and really significant, I may use a bit of it. Yeah, a bit of masking fluid. Richard, how are you? Says, hey everyone. Ralph, Thank you for making all your videos. You kept me on reminding me how amazing watercolor are. Yeah, and we need that reminder, you know? I had times when it was a bit challenging and I needed encouragement. So seeing someone who really enjoys it and is in the moment, that's always very inspiring. There's a lot to learn from other people. So yeah, I'm happy I could help that way. And thank you so much, Ralph. I really appreciate it. Richard, you're on my new 52-inch TV. Wow, that's awesome. So yeah, I think the quality is 720. Oh no, it should be 1080p, right? I think it should be decent enough of a stream quality. Let me check for a second because I'm pretty sure it is, because I'm using OBS, but I don't remember it. It's funny. That's how much I'm not on top of it. But let me make sure for a second. It could be 720, and I forget. Yeah, it's 1080. Good. So at least I look okay, I guess. I don't think I can stream 4K, but we can try. I don't think this camera is capable of 4K, honestly. But maybe I'll get one for 4K. But that's awesome. Thank you for putting me up there, Richard. Would make me nervous probably to see myself on it. Make me, self-conscious. Saint Inky, very pretty. The Palladium building sketch. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a fun one. Globe 3, so glad I'm finally watching one of your live classes. Lots of great info. Thank you so much. Mark, how are you? 81 watching, but only 65 likes. Mark says, yeah, so if you can drop a like, that will be great. How many likes do I see now? I think there's more. Okay, 72. Nice. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Kopik, yeah, thank you, Aniruda, for letting me know. Thank you, Course I Am. Thank you, Ali. Baby says, I'm gonna learn drawing, but I don't know what to learn first. Like, do I need to learn body or faces first? Yeah, so before you get to that, and I just answered it actually, and maybe you heard it, before you get to that, I would start with basic shapes, like boxes, and what do you call, like cubes, I would say, are huge. Cubes are huge because they force you to actually learn how to draw a shape where all the sides are of equal size, right? But boxes, cubes, ovals, and spheres, and cylinders, like these ones, that's how you get started, right? I would also work on gesture, so capturing the movement. If you just search YouTube for how to paint three-dimensional objects, perspective in three-dimensional objects, and gesture drawing, these will be the big ones you want to start with. It's fundamentals. It can seem boring, but it's actually not. It's fascinating. Drawing fundamentals are fascinating once you get started. That's where I would begin if you really want to be good, right? If you just want to sketch for your own enjoyment, you can do whatever. You can start with whatever you want, look at something and sketch it. It takes a bit of time to understand what you enjoy making as art. So at first you see it, like these experiments in my sketchbook, you don't know what you enjoy. Right now I don't need to think. I know I like cityscapes, I like landscapes, I like cars. I have so many pictures I myself took with my phone around the city. I have endless amount of subject matter. I love black and white, strong contrast, strong sunlight. I know, but at first you don't know, so you have to do all these crappy experiments and get all these weird, like I didn't even complete this one, and this, don't get me started. What is that? So here's an example of something I did in 2016. So if you feel like your work is, you're not sure about it, what is that? What I think I was aiming for, I wanted the greens to be darker than the houses, and I saw the houses as a bluish white, but I didn't darken this, I didn't darken the grass. So you just experiment. Here's a dog. That dog turned out nice. You gotta experiment. Here's a doll, a random doll, maybe belonged to, I think a friend of mine had it in their apartment, and it's just that. A slipper, that I think that was my sister's slipper. This was a big success for me back in the day, because I used expressive colors purely, and that was really big for me. Then I actually felt like I nailed some. I remember when I finished this, I'm like, I know how to paint with watercolor. That's how I felt. It's so embarrassing. Like, there's so much that I had to learn back then. But this looks good, right? It is the connection of something. I started feeling like I get the values to be somewhere in the ballpark. But yeah. So you got to start, from learning what you enjoy. It takes time to build that experience and actually know it. Should I zoom in a bit more? Let me try, because this is so small. I mean, let's show it properly. There we go. Good. Just so that you can see things a little better. Let's see what else. Dean says, have you tried any of the Van Gogh dusk colors? I'm unfamiliar with those, so probably not. Now the camera is getting in my way. Now, how should I fix this? We'll do this. So yeah, no, I'm not familiar with those. What are they? Let me know. Emmy Weaver, I'm not a fan of watercolor markers. Old school tubes work better for me. Yeah, and I'm not talking about watercolor markers. I'm talking about, is it oil-based markers? I'm not sure. What Copic? What is it? Is it water-based? I'm not sure. Maybe they are, and I don't know. Marjorie says, knowing where you need classes to be challenged, technique, practice, and producing is important. This is the answer my aunt gave me. She's been in classes from high school till now, 70 years. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, just knowing what you want to improve and where you want to challenge yourself is huge. That's how you continue growing, you know. Judy Harris, do you use Indian ink or pens? So I actually have this. So this is ink from manga. Now, is it Indian ink? I'm actually not sure. It's the liter ink. And had I known how to write ink in Japanese, I would be able to tell you. I can actually read this. Comic, I guess it's comics. Comic something, ink. This is probably the letter we want to figure out. Because I know how to read Japanese. I'm studying with a teacher, actually. Shimasen. So that's like something not to do. Shimasen is negative. Shimas is to do, but shimasen is probably like not, don't eat this or something like that. Or maybe it's not waterproof or whatever. Let's search for the liter ink number 4. If you want to hear more Japanese, let me know. I'm actually practicing now. Oops, oopsie doopsie. I did something weird with the windows. Here we go. The liter ink number 4. So let's see what it is. I'm not sure actually, but I have used this a lot. So it's waterproof, so it means it's not water-based. Which makes sense, right? Ink is usually not. Yeah, I have no idea. I think it's Indian ink. I had proper Indian ink in the past. I had it for sure when I was just kind of playing around with materials when I was like very young, maybe 16 or 15 or something like that. But yeah, this is what I have now. And I do have that nib pen that I've been using to ink occasionally, which is very fun. This one. This is a Tachikawa with a G pen nib by Zebra. Or is it? Yeah, by Zebra. So yeah, I sometimes use that for the manga stuff. Larga Parker says, hi Liron, shadow banned, so can only talk in a live stream. Thank you for the great motivation you provide. The live streams are really cool. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. Like, what does it mean? Can't you comment on videos? That's weird. Let me know. That sucks. Yeah, shadow banning, I think it's real. It's terrible. I believed for many times in my social media career, oh, someone banned me, shadow banned me or something like that, but who knows? Like, I'm not sure if it's not clear cut. Maybe in your case it is. Vespa says, I'm laughing out loud about your chair and your comment on the page. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny to find something you wrote a long time ago. Ellie, and hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. I think it says Ali Urens, sorry. Best wishes from Spain. I like your channel a lot. Thank you so much. Morwen, I don't know how to find, and by the way, I love the emoji, the moon emoji. I don't know how to find my way. I come from oil painting. For various reasons, now I can no longer use it. I fell in love with watercolor, but they are so difficult. It's a constant struggle between my perfectionism and my rebellious side. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's a place that I actually hear quite a few people describe that they're at. I'd be lying if I said I know like what the cure is. But for perfectionism, I would just say if you focus on quantity rather than quality, so like you'll paint every single day or multiple times a day. Here's the classic watercolor trees. I think that can help. If you just focus on doing a lot, that I think can really help move you forward. It's a new world watercolor. You know, your expectations have to be adjusted as well. It's not oils. It's different. You have to take care of things. You have to do a lot simultaneously. It's very time sensitive, right? Now, you know it probably as well as I do. So yeah, it's just a different medium. It's like, you know, if you've been playing football all your life and then you transition into tennis. So you have to learn the new rules. You have to do it very differently. So, or maybe like tennis and ping pong. Maybe that'll be a better comparison. But it's different, right? It's a different ball game, as they say. Look at this, 2016. This is terrible. I don't like this. I hate the colors. I don't like the way it looks. If you remove the trees, it actually works for me. But the trees is green is a nightmare. This is why I like to mix my own, of course. Now I'm going to show you a few cool stuff that connected really nicely, a few portraits. Now, if you've been keenly following my Instagram and other places, I have shared these quite a bit in the past, so you've seen them. Let's see what you're saying here. The cars are good, thank you, Thanga. And Marwa, no worries, your English is great. I understand everything. White Reza, is this proper watercolor paper? Knowing how expensive it is, I always fill every corner of my sketchbooks. Yeah, I'm going to return to these probably. If I have empty pages, I'll just open them up at some point and continue sketching. I don't care. I'll just continue working in them because I wasted so much space here. Now, this is a sketchbook I bought for fairly cheap in, I think it was cheap. Yeah, there's a price here. So this is, it was in Prague, so Kronas, right? 249. So let's search. I don't even remember. 249 crowns. Is it with K, I think? Crowns? Or is it crowns? I'm not sure. Let's see. Check crowns. I think it was crowns, right? 2 USD. So that's 11 bucks. That's actually not cheap. I feel now I feel cheated. But yeah, who knows? Maybe it was, no, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so that's probably the price. So yeah, now I feel a bit a bit ripped off, but yeah, I bought it there. I bought it there because I needed something to sketch on. That is the, again, Canson. Let me open it up so I see myself. Yeah, the Canson art book, mixed media. It's not perfect for watercolor, but it was actually decent. I remember it was okay. It wasn't the worst I had. I had worse papers for sure. So yeah, we're moving in this direction. There we go. Got confused for a second. Teal's Workshop. I have notes from Teal's Workshop. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm not gonna share those. Here we go. Another one. This, I felt like I got the likeness perfectly. This is really like that. Yeah. Marjorie says, no wonder you like doing cars. Success right from the beginning. What a feeling. Yeah, a bit. Vespa says your car paintings are fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm just now catching up to the area of the car where I show the car. Amit Sahu says hello, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Amit Blanca Rodriguez says good morning. Good morning to you too. Talia says toda, which is thank you in Hebrew. Dragons on stilts. I always have problems with masking tape ripping my paper. Yeah, if you're using good paper, that shouldn't happen. But who knows? I mean, it can happen if you're not removing it. If it's a bad masking fluid, I guess, right? Tape. I mean, if it's too strong of a tape, plastic. You know, I'm using this paper masking tape that you can just go like this and rip it. But yeah, let's do an experiment here. So if I tape this and then I remove it, I don't think it ripped anything. But this is actually, again, this is decent paper. I think this paper will get ripped fairly easily. But yeah, if you're using good cotton, 100% cotton, it shouldn't happen. But I guess the combination, sometimes it will change based on the tape you use, and I don't know. Sometimes it can seem pretty random. One thing I will always say is to not lift up the tape, lift it like this, so it's a little gentler and slowly. You can also use a hairdryer to weaken the tape, and then it may work better. The adhesive part of it can weaken it, and then it's easier to take off. Tanga says I cannot remove the masking tape in my paintings. Why not? It's also causing you issues. Hamid says good drawing. Thank you so much. Hey Jens, how are you? Sandy, discovered you recently. I love your style. Thank you so much. Jens, never really gotten into watercolor, but if I ever get into painting, I will probably do watercolor. Cool. Yeah, it's a very inviting medium, honestly. Aguna Dun says, you seriously helped me with my burnout. Your videos inspire me so much to try simple techniques and quick sketches. You're awesome. Please never stop. Thank you. I'll continue doing this for as long as I can. Thank you so much. White Reza, stick the masking tape on your jean. Yeah, that's a great advice too. But then it can leave some hairs on the paper, which I don't always like. Miss Om says hello from Pennsylvania. Hey, how are you? Saint Inky, good place for me to start to draw in general. was Jack Spicer's. You will be able to draw after this book, workbook. Jack Spicer's. Is that a person? I had no idea. Jack Spicer's. Artist? Oh, poetry? Oh, okay. It is a drawing book. It is an artist. He has a really cool bun. A really cool man bun. Or is it like a ponytail? I don't know what the official thing is. Oh, it's Jake Spicer. Did I read it wrong or did you write Jack? Jack. Okay, maybe it's Jake. I'm not sure. Let me know. Monica says that portrait is awesome. Thank you so much, baby. How did you know your art style? You don't know it. You discover it. That's actually a very common concern among artists. You really can't know. You have to try and experiment until you find it. That's really how it works. Let me make this a little bigger. It's really something you have to work towards and kind of craft on your own. It's almost like a painting. It's like, how do you know that you wanted to paint this exactly like that? You don't. You kind of try, right? You try and paint it. Whatever you discover. It's a process of discovery. The best advice I can give you is to practice consistently and enough, like a couple of hours, enough hours a week, and do that every single week, right? Because you build momentum and you will learn. One more thing you want to pay attention to is make sure you don't go into, like you don't pigeonhole yourself and just do the same thing. So break your own pattern, try and borrow from different places and see what sticks. Something will stick, and it's your natural mode of creation that you have to discover and build the skills to enable you to do, right? Because at first you don't even have the skills to be able to create with your style. That's how I see it, at least. Some people will say you had it from the get-go, but I don't believe in that. Let's see. Let's skip some of the masking tape tips. Rub the sticky side of your, yeah. Of course I am. Copics are alcohol-based. Yeah, I had a feeling. Yep. Freaking morons. Hello there, Liron and chat. Hope the week is going well. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm for one am happy to get to the end of the week. I worked hard this week. Here's Luffy from One Piece with way too pronounced teeth. But yeah, another one to look at. A tree. A messy tree. I had no idea how to finish the trunk and get it to go into the tree. This is way too light. It's messy. It's all over the place. But you got to do a lot of these to improve, you know. This isn't my style, but I had to try it out. Shading with the exact same color is something I don't do it as much these days. Something I had to work my way through and discover. There's another one. What is that? I have no idea. I don't even remember where this is. It's a mess. This is from a picture. I do remember this. Color harmony extremely garish. Lines too heavy, you know, drawing inaccurate, mom spaghetti, as they say. You got to go through these, you know. These are all, this is good. And why is this good? Because it is a study of Peter Schiller following his tutorial. That's the reason why this is much better than most of the work you see here in terms of composition, editing, color harmony, all of that, because I followed a tutorial. So following tutorials is a big move that can help you, you know, work on your skills. So just another example, right? The sky, I would have never thought of getting it like that. And I messed it up. Like his is much better, but still, it's there because I followed the tutorial. He did all the hard work for me of really making it into a cohesive artwork. Vespa, very cool watercolor portrait of the man with brown hair. Love that style. Thank you so much. Richard, thank you for the advice. It's a big help. Have you got any suggestions for dealing with the nerves and fear that come with putting yourself out there when moving from a hobby or to a profession? Yeah, it's you know. Here's the thing, and I start to figure this is true for everything. I learn and relearn this. It's like they say, you're not gonna avoid that feeling of fear, right? And you can't be brave when there is no fear, right? When you're brave, there is fear, but you're just moving through it, right? You feel the fear and do it anyway, as that book. I read it when I was really young, and it influenced me a lot. So what I would say, I'm going to give you a bit of a weird advice, is to put a lot of awareness on that fear. So really try and feel it. Like, feel yourself scared. Feel if your pulse is going up, you know, if your hands get sweaty, if you have that feeling in your chest, put a lot of awareness on it. Try and really be with it. Don't try to suppress it. And it's easier said than done, and maybe that's not a good advice. But for me, what works is to really be with it, feel it, even talk it out to myself, and then in the wake of that to still do the thing I planned. At least from my personal experience, it's just always going to be there. It's a natural part of changing gears and changing what you're doing, right? There is something to be said about skill, right? If you feel confident enough that what you do is of a level that you're ready to sell it, then that's like a mental checkbox that's very logical. That's on a logical level, but it is still a checkbox. You can say, okay, but at least I can hold on to the fact that I know I'm good enough to do this. And I'll be the first to say you can sell at any level pretty much, right? You can be a beginner and sell because someone will like what you do, right? It's just a matter of finding that person. You will provide value to someone, right? So we know it on a logical level, right? But yeah, I hope that helps a bit. I know that's not like a really perfect advice. It's just what I can provide from my own experience. Now, but every new thing has fear involved. Here I can share a story with you. So I had this lawsuit thing, and I told you that it was over, and I won, and it was crazy. They were great. The other side, the side that I sued. As soon as it was over, they called me and asked for my bank account details and transferred the money. I didn't have to chase anyone. I didn't have to do anything. They literally called me and wrapped the thing up. When I went to the court, what do you call it, like hearing or whatever that is, the first time, I was so nervous. And I didn't know what I'm walking into. I felt like I have to defend myself. I came ready with like a small booklet of things I wanted to say, like the story and my side of things. And I was so nervous, but the defense never showed up because I sued them. They didn't show up because there was a problem with their address. They didn't receive the notice, whatever. It's a long story. And the judge just talked to me, and I was super nervous. I was super shaky, like literally shaky hands, and I just sat through it. I tried to feel it and be with it and give it the focus it deserves, because it's telling you something. It's telling you that you're scared of the situation. But then the second time I came, because the first time the defense didn't show up, they also didn't show up, and then the judge made a decision that was for me. It was a big story, but basically I won, and the I don't know what you call not the plaintiff, the side that is sued, they were great. They called me and transferred the money. It's too bad they didn't talk to me before that, because then all they'd have to do is pay a refund, but they paid more than double than that because of legal costs and stuff like that. But I was super nervous, super duper nervous. It's just a part of life, I heard this beautiful quote by, Kapil Gupta, who's a very interesting person, or was it the Sadhguru? I think it was Sadhguru. And I mentioned this before. People want in life to find the certainty of death. So when at death everything is certain, there's nothing, right? But in life, everything that can get screwed up will get screwed up, and it's very natural to be scared of things, right? But you will never have the certainty in life. That's what makes it life. And if it was predictable and certain, it wouldn't be life. For better or worse. There's tragedies, there's terrible things that happen, but a part of that uncertainty is what makes it living, right? So I've really had a moment when I heard this. So yeah, I hope that helps. Sorry for the super long answer. Also loving seeing your work from the different stages of your career. Thank you so much, Richard. Kate B, I find watercolor easier than acrylic. I'm trying to learn acrylic. Yeah, it's just so slow that I just didn't feel like I'm dealing with it well. I'm good with oils, but watercolor is difficult. Yeah, I get it, It's just different. Let me skip a bit. I want to see. Couldn't get your email ID. So Thanga, if you go to my about, and you should have this captcha thing, and then you should get it. I want to skip to the end of the chat just to see if there's anything like relevant to now. I just want to make sure, because I'm always like 10 minutes behind. Globe3 says it's encouraging to see how rough and awkward your early work was. Wow, thank you so much, Globe. My work is rough and awkward now, but with practice I'll grow and get better. Yeah, exactly. Like, what is this? This looks like the devil's work. Let's see what else is in here. Just a bunch of crap, and then we get to Teal Swan advice. Let's see. Let's. I'm gonna read it to myself. Oh, that's interesting. It was about the topic of self-love, and we ourselves putting conditions that in order to allow ourselves to love and accept ourselves. That's what most of it was about. So an interesting and important topic, I would say. Next sketchbook is this one. Now let me see, just to make sure there isn't any weird stuff in here. Not weird, but like personal notes again. And I think I have shown a lot of this one, but we'll open it up. So these are some studies I did at a local park. Pencil, pen. I like the pencil much more. I think it has much more natural look to it, almost a realistic quality to it, I would say. Let me go over the messages now. Globe 3, absolutely, you will. Keep going. Yeah, for sure. I haven't commented. Yeah, definitely. My first work was super awkward. And it just happens, you know, it compounds over time. Practice. You keep practicing, you will improve. That's just how it works. But in order to see this improvement and to feel it, you really have to look back like 2 or 3 years. But while you're in it, you won't notice it. But it does compound. Do you have a video showing how you make videos? No, I don't. Maybe I should do one. Good words on selling Liron. Thank you so much, Gillies. Gillies art. Vespa, it's so helpful to follow along with you, Liron, with any tutorials. Thank you. There's going to be a good one on Saturday, the one I showed earlier. Pramod Sharma, hello and greetings from Hyderabad, India. Your car 83 out of 100 on Instagram is beautiful. I'm not a great of an artist, but learning myself. Oh, thank you so much. I actually have it here. Let me bring it over in case someone missed it, because I am super proud of it as well. I believe you're talking about this one, right? Yeah, this, I did a lot of glazes to get the color nuance here, and I think it worked really, really well. I'm going to set this here so you can look at both as I scroll through some of the comments. Let's see. Oh, you did the same Peter Schiller tutorial, Amy. That's funny. Saint Ink, I just saw a video from Proco where you hear how many artists in the scene made it from mainly YouTube videos. Yeah. YouTube is huge. Kate B, do you think it's inspiring to see where you started? Do you think tutorials are helpful to learn or a setback to keep doing them? No, it's definitely helpful because that's how I started and it worked for me. You need to, before you know what to paint, you need someone to kind of give that topic or that subject to you, just so that you can practice the technique. They're very beneficial. I think the more things you practice, the better you'll do. Practicing a variety of things, a variety of artists, tutorials, books, yourself alone, from observation, from photos, do everything. That's the only way to, it's just a journey of discovery. It really is, and tutorials are a big part of that. Someone did the hard work for you so you can practice the technique. Freaking morons. Oh, One Piece. Are you following the manga week to week? No, I'm actually watching the anime, and I am behind at least 100 episodes. I know it's been recently episode 1000. I'm around 800, maybe 920, maybe 80 episodes behind. I'm terrible. But yeah, I'm now where they got to Wano, and it just got kind of started with, they just now discovered the past of the Kozuki clan. So yeah, I'm there. I think it's Kozuki, right? I won't spoil it in case someone hasn't watched, because that was me a couple of months ago. Let's see. But I like One Piece a lot. Chimefti says, oh, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I found tape for technical architecture drawing. Works perfect. Yeah, you gotta find the right tool, and sometimes it takes a while. Hey Chuck, how are you? Larga, the red lady is stunning. Thank you so much. Saint Inky, a lot of watercolor artists dull it down on their sweater. Oh yeah, the tape. Nice advice on tape. Jeanette has been watching your live streams for a few months now. First time commenting. Love your painting style and advice, positivity, and your cards. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much, Jeanette. I really appreciate it. Baby says, try drawing with pen and not pencil and realize that pen is more effective for me. So I won't, and I can't erase it. Yeah, that's actually, I can relate for sure. It's freeing in a way, you know? Coxia says, greetings from Russia. I don't understand English well, but your videos are still very interesting to watch. Thank you so much. Larga says, practice. The more the better. Yeah, definitely. It's true. Sometimes it's just patience, you know? You just have to stay patient and actually try and head through the wall in a way. You know, I had a lot of rough times with watercolor. Nothing too detrimental that made me stop, because I haven't. I'm here. But yeah, not easy at all. So sketches, I do believe I've shown you some of these, but these I did plein air, most of this sketchbook. Just looking at people around the city here, Tel Aviv. This is like a weird bike that has no use. It's just out there in the street. Prep for my 3D abstract work. Some neat stuff there. This was really nice. This I enjoy doing, like just friends doing a picnic or something in the park. That was fun to draw. This was also fun. A person sitting in a beanie. They have these beanies in our boulevard here, and it's funny. They had them, now they removed them. But people used to sit on them like this and chill. I like this side of the building, so I kind of started sketching it out. Another beanie attempt, because I felt like the first one wasn't good enough. A weird, awkward attempt at a tree. This is really nice. So I think I sketched this house like 5-10 times maybe. I did sketches, I did paintings. It's just nice looking, and it has a nice spot to sit in. So I did that a couple of times. This is another kind of area on the boulevard. We'll get to some substantial stuff. Everything here is just sketches, but like this one is one of my favorites. And one that was really a breakthrough for me, because everything connected. So it's not just a sketch like this, a sketch of a buildings or something. It's really organized, and there's a clear story and a clear like parking lot and the buildings. Everything is really good here. I got a bit lucky, but also I guess it's practice, because this I did plein air, fully plein air. So very happy about this one. How did you learn how to cross hatch like that? It's so good. Yeah, so the technique is actually to grab the pen, take a piece of paper, and you just have to like go. And I don't like this. This is a bit too thin. And you just, nice pen. These are actually decent pens. I don't know why, but you just go like this, and you fill in an entire page. And you can't change the angle. If you start doing this kind of a thing, that's not good. You have to bring it back to the angle, and then you practice doing it in a different angle. And you just got to do it, you know. And then you do it like this. I like that. You can do something if you want to make it fun. Like you can draw a ball. Then let's say this is the shadowy side, so you start shading, right? You do that first cross-hatching layer, ideally thinner, lesser gaps, and then you change the angle a bit and you start shading that side, and then you change the angle once again. Just got to practice this a lot, right? And if you want a softer transition, maybe you do this kind of a thing. But these are the things you have to practice, you know. You have to fill in entire pages with them. And it's fun, you know, once you get addicted to it. Because right now I'm doing it for show, but if I actually would do it seriously, I'd be much more engaged with it. I'll do it much more slowly, more accurately, you know. That's how you do it. You gotta practice. And I did a lot of cross-hatching, so I had to improve. Saint Inky, sitting on a bike of no use and plein air paint using the bar as your sketchbook rest would make a nice picture, and it would mean the bike has use. So that's a nice little oxymoron. It's a fun one, yeah. Jeannie says, I have trouble with perspective. Can you talk a bit about that? Yeah. You have to learn the rules. And it's not even boring. I find it very interesting. What I would say is, first, I want to work on a perspective course, because I have a lot of knowledge that's more advanced than my book that I'll have to share. But just to give you an example of a rule. Okay, let's say, because it's really about rules, and I'm thinking like how I can, okay, so let me show you. So for example, let's say that I'm looking at a window, right? So this is a window. In perspective, I'm looking into it from outside, and what I want is to draw a couple of more windows of equal size, right? You have to know the rules. So what are the rules? I'll show you. If you connect the corners of the window, running out of lead here. If you connect the corners of the window, you'll find the center point, okay? Let's pass a line parallel to these lines through the center point. Let's extend that line. Let's extend the top line. Let's extend the bottom line. How can I draw another square of equal size? Here's what you do. You connect this corner through this midpoint. That's all you have to do. And that's a method of projecting the same distance in perspective. So now we have another unit of the exact same size. It's not the same size on paper because perspective is playing a role. And if you remember something very basic about perspective, things get smaller the farther they go. So when you look at a road, it will look like this, right? These are the dotted lines. Maybe you have some power lines like this. It looks like it's getting smaller the farther it goes. Same goes for these windows, right? They go smaller the farther they go. So these distances change on paper. But in reality, they represent an equal distance. How do you do that again? You do the exact same thing. You take the corner, transfer a line through the middle. And that's approximately where this window sits. So let me show you. This is by Joseph's book, which sketch. Let me show you how this can play an important role in a scene. So let's say you want to do a checkered floor, right? You want to do a checkered floor that that has tiles of the same size, okay? It's a bit of a mystery, actually. The way to do this isn't as simple and as straightforward. And actually, I would... Let's do this. Okay, let's do this. So let's say that this is a tile, okay? Right? And I want to recreate a tile of the same size. You follow the rules of perspective. You find the middle, like this. And then you pass a line through it that follows perspective as well, which I was extremely inaccurate in. You connect that corner through that line. You got the same size of tile. Same size. Now, this distance is the same as this, right? This, not necessarily the same, right? But this is equal to this. This is going to be equal, and you continue doing this. I'll give you another example. Let's say you're looking at a fence. You literally are looking at a fence going into the distance. Okay, this is a fence. This is your horizon line, right? Fence that has poles, right? And you want to put the poles in equal distances. You put one, and we have that line going through the middle. So this is equal to that, and this is equal to that, right? Same trick, corner to the midpoint, and you've basically copied that distance. You do the same thing, you copied it yet again. You copied it yet again. You copied it yet again. And you notice how they become smaller the more they go into the distance. Why am I going through the trouble of showing you all of this? Because you have to learn the rules. Perspective is about rules. Once you understand them, you will be able to draw accurately. What I would do is get a basic course on perspective. I have one that is very good, and I recommend everyone take it, and it's by Marshall Vandroff, and I will post a link in the chat. Marshall Vandroff. You gotta follow the rules. Perspective course. And I know he's working on a newer version because it's super old with crappy audio, but I learned a lot from it. Which is why I highly recommend you buy it. It's super cheap. It's like $10, something like that. Marshall's, sorry for going on a tangent, perspective course. It's a full length, full semester for like $9, $10, something like that. Check it out. I urge you to. Jeannie, I hope that helps. Baby, the fact that you already drew from a sketchbook and I'm starting on a notebook with just a pen, yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It really is not as important. You can use whatever you want. Agnes de Grossouvre. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, I know it's French. Liron's cars are always good. Thank you so much. I mean, I assume it's French. I don't know for sure. Thank you so much. Dean says 1 point perspective. Yeah. John S., how often do you practice in a sketchbook versus working on a full-size piece? I paint in a sketchbook at least the same amount of finished pieces. That's what I'm gonna say. The ratio changes because sometimes I'll do a lot of sketchbooks, but it's always more sketchbook than finished piece, always. That's me personally. Harsha says, I've been stingy all my life. I intend to be more kind. Cool. That's great. A Vermeer lesson. Nice. Oh, yeah, about the tiles. White Reza, very nice. I didn't know this perspective trick. Yeah, and you'd be surprised at what this can be used for. So let me show you something really cool that not everyone thinks of. When you're drawing a person, and you have that ball for the face, and maybe we're looking at it from side view. Yeah, I messed that one up. Sorry, got the oval the completely wrong direction. Side view, like this. And this is the front plane of the face, right? So you can treat the front plane almost as a flat shape. And then it connects to the chin, wherever it is, right? But you can treat this like think about it as paper, right? And it will also follow the same rules of perspective with these parallel lines. Look at something really neat. If you know where this eye is, let's say somewhere around here, you can use that same technique I showed you to find the other eye. And how would you do that? There's a gap of one eye between the eyes. So you copy that distance, that's the gap, and you copy it again, and that's the second eye. See how that works? Of course, this is assuming that these are the same lengths. But that's another use for this you'd never think of, right? You can copy equal. You can, in fact, use this. So these buildings, most of them, that have a window, a gap of set distance, another window, another gap of that same distance, and another window. There's actually a method to get this gap accurately, and then this gap accurately, and again this one, and again this one, and again this one. There's a way to do that using a vanishing trace. This is something I hope maybe I'll do a future course on. You can use perspective to find these distances as well. It's pretty crazy. But you have to use a vanishing trace. It goes like this. It's a bit harder. It goes like this or like that. I don't remember. Maybe it goes like this in this example. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure it out. But yeah, you can do so much with this. So let me just flip through some more. This is a page I really, really like. You can tell immediately cranes, construction scene. But notice something. This looks good, I think. The composition here is top notch. Why? Because I did 2 attempts before that. I did this one, and then I did this one, and then only then I found this one that worked the best for me. First I did it zoomed in on the top, it was nice. Then I zoomed out a bit, but I didn't like it as much, and then I changed the crop a bit, and then it was perfect, like this. So, experimentation, you gotta try and try and try sometimes. A lot of it is discovery. You just didn't discover the right way. It's not like you need to know it in advance and then do it, right? I cannot stress this enough. That's art, it's discovery. Handy likes the architecture sketches. Thank you so much. White Reza, yeah, you can make a short with this eye trick for sure. I actually have a TikTok with it. Yeah. Tanga says super about the eye. Never knew this. Yeah. Happy this helps. Baby, how can you focus and not be distracted? Because I have a hard time focusing on watching and doing something. So wait, you're asking 2 different questions, I think. How can you focus and not be distracted? I have a hard time focusing on watching and doing something. So if you're watching a tutorial, you're having a hard time working from it. If that's the case, you can pause. You can do a lot of things to make it easier on yourself. You can learn from a written tutorial. Some people find it easier. I love video, but some people find it easier to work from a written tutorial, of course. You can do all sorts of things. Now, if you're talking about being focused, generally speaking, you have to have a strong why. Like, why do you do this? Why do you want to improve? Why do you want to work on your skills? If you have a strong why and you remind yourself that on a daily basis, yeah, it goes the other way around, then you will be able to maintain that focus and motivation, right? Look at this car, totally out of balance, completely inaccurate. But you have to know why you're doing the things you're doing. That's the key, I think. I hope that helps. Here's something a little different, a portrait. Some Joseph Zbukvich studies, I have shown these. You can, if you're familiar with his work, you probably can tell immediately that's his. That's another good painting of his I really, really like. I like to do so here's an example. Learning how to sketch using a watercolor painting. Who would have thought of that? I mean, you would think of doing a prep sketch for watercolor painting, but would you think about looking at a watercolor painting to better understand sketching, right? Another thing to experiment with. One more thing, I like to learn from oil painters and take lessons from them onto my watercolors. There's a lot you can do. Here's a more, one I put a little more work on, just a book page. 2018. Wow, time flies. I could have sworn I did this like a year ago. That's crazy. I don't even remember doing it so much back then. That's crazy. I vividly remember working on this one too. Wow, that time really flies. Then I turn on the air conditioner. It's getting a little cold. Yeah, that's insane. Would have never remembered that. Talia says, literally leaving for the art store in a few minutes to replenish my supplies. Which watercolor paints do you use? Recommend. I love White Knights because I can get them cheap here. St. Petersburg White Knights. But that's not the case everywhere. Just because we're closer to Europe, we can get them for cheap. I love Daniel Smith. I love SAA in the UK. They're so good. And Shinhan PWC are great. Schminke are great. There's so many good brands. Winsor & Newton will do in a pinch. In a pinch, that's really... Yeah, that's not to disrespect them. They're good, but some things I'm kind of like... Some of their paints I don't like as much. And not Kochman's. Kochman's I don't like. Dean says, priceless lessons, folks. Make sure you like and sub. Thank you so much, Dean. Really appreciate it. White Rose, I always struggle to place the features on Loomis' head with extreme angles. Gonna try that. Let me show you something, actually. I can give you a tip in that regard. So, usually when you struggle with something, very often, not usually, but very often, it's a knowledge gap. So, it's not enough to create the Loomis head. What you want to do is take it one step further, like I did here, and learn the basic structure of the face of the more advanced parts of it. So, for example, if you have the Loomis head, right, which I can do in literally a second, right? I can draw it like maybe 30 seconds literally, right? Copy this distance all the way to here. Chin, Loomis head, right? Ears. But that's just not enough. That's not enough. You need to go the extra mile and figure out, okay, so this is where that plane changes, right? Right here. That's where the front is, and it turns to the side plane. Side plane of the face, front plane. Then what happens here? There is a rhythm line that goes from the chin all the way here. And what this does is it actually defines the eye socket. So this, right, is this area. And look at what happens here. It goes inwards, and continues along this rhythm line. So what we were looking at is this part going inwards and down like that. So you can see it on the other side really well. It goes inwards. Can you see that? In, out. So in, out. And where's the peak of that depth? It's somewhere around here, under the nose, the bridge of the nose. So if you connect these two, you'll find where it's deepest, right? And then it goes through that rhythm. Now you can place the eye sockets a little easier, because you know that from this area, it has to connect to the keystone of the nose. Like this, which is around the middle of this distance. Keystone of the nose. And then this goes back out, like this. And that's the nose, right? And the bottom plane of the nose, here, front, bottom, right? And the side planes of the nose. And then the mouth. You see, maybe you're just lacking in knowledge. So you can find models that are structured this way and work from them. Take it, find that in between that you're missing. Because very often you'll be frustrated with something and you're like, I can't get it to work. You're missing something in the middle there. You're not lacking in skill or vision necessarily. You just don't know something. And I did a lot of these heads in awkward angles. Look at what happens here. Because the lips are beveled outwards, when you're looking from this weird angle, they almost obstruct the nose. The nose obstructs the eye very early on, you see? It just can obstruct that eye very fast. So maybe you're missing some knowledge of how the face is structured. So you need that middle step. Look at Ruth's face. It's a little easier, right? It looks like a car almost. But yeah, I hope that helps. Let me know, because that's something a lot of people, including myself, struggle with. Took me a while to understand. I'm missing some knowledge. That's pretty much it. Don't gotta be too hard on yourself. Just missing some knowledge. Some more compositions. This is for a painting I did that I don't like how it turned out. This is for a painting on a course on Udemy that I posted. This is from observation, coffee shop. This I gave myself notes. This is another from observation. I really like this one. Yeah. So let's see here. If you're curious about the notes I wrote down, rooftop, use dry flat brush. Tree from the right to the house. Break the vertical shape of it. Maybe extra. I'm not sure what that means actually. Yeah, so I wrote notes for myself to what to improve in a painting. It's not even this, it's a different one. Megan says, I've been working on cross contours, and one of the things, and by the way, if I missed your chat messages, because I have skipped a lot in the middle, just ask again and hopefully I'll see it. Worst case, leave a comment and I will answer. I need to answer comments for the previous live stream too. Megan, I've been working on cross contours, and one of the things that I still get confused about is the direction the lines are supposed to go. Do you know what I mean? Definitely. So if you look at this, for example, right? The cross contour lines go like this. So here's where, again, basic three-dimensional shapes can help. So if you're looking at, for example, a cylinder, and this fully connects to perspective. You know what? Let me show you. This fully connects with perspective. So let me show you how basic shapes can save you in this example. Horizon line, vanishing points. Okay? Now I'm going to place here a box. Let me show you. And we're looking at this box both from bottom to top. We're looking up at it and down at it. Okay? So this is a box, right? Now, if you want to wrap it around in rubber bands, all of these rubber bands are going to comply with perspective. So this side has vanishing points leading to this area, right? So this will be the rubber band for this side, cross contour line. Same goes for this side. That's going to be it. Top to bottom is easy. It's just vertical lines. But forget about that. Now, here, this is going to be your cross contour. Now here, this is going to be your cross contour. It follows that same perspective. So if you were to put a huge rubber band around this huge piece of concrete box, that's what you would get, right? So far, so good. Now, what would happen if we turn this box into a cylinder, which better represents this kind of a thing, a can or a limb, right? A limb is a cylinder. Look at what happens. Instead of square lines, we're going to get a rounded line, right? Rounded here as well. Now, I don't usually do this transition from square to, because then you have to see the entire thing and wrap it around. I would practice doing this from observation and from understanding of cylinders, but for now, let's go through that step, right? And these lines turn to these lines. They don't go this way, they go this way, right? And always ask yourself, what's farther from me? Is this tallest point of the building farther from me than this point? The answer is yes. So it goes this way. The other side, it goes that way, but forget about that, right? Just use logic here. Just use the rules of perspective, not logic. Don't use logic. Don't use what you think you know. Use the rules of perspective. Line, line. How would you turn this into a rubber band that's rounded? Like this. Cross contour line. What happens here? It goes like this, and here it goes like that. So it's flatter. It's a flatter curve. So it's a flatter curve, right? What happens here? It's a straight line, because that's our point of view. It's a straight line. We don't look up at it. We don't look down at it. Now, what would happen if we continue that cylinder? Let's check it out. Line. Line. Look at that. Now try to turn this into a rounded shape. Look at how much more from below we're looking at it, right? This is a much more significant oval. Much more significant oval, right? This goes like this. This goes like that. If it would have been lower, it would have been really much. You see how that works? If you can understand the basic structure of a box or a cube, you will be able to turn it into a cylinder. Okay? I hope that makes sense. It's not easy, but that's how you let perspective and rules guide you rather than logic and things that like you don't know. You just don't know them. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. That was Megan Kelly's answer. Let's see. White Reza, thanks. I'm going to work on that. Happy that helped. Let's see. Hopefully that helps you, Megan, as well. Andrea Sims, yes, a perspective course. That would be perfect for me. Yeah, I'll work on something. I'll basically take all the content I have in mind, including measured, what I showed you. There's a bunch of other methods of doing this, and I will teach you that. It's going to have to happen later this year after I finish with the watercolor realism, which is going to be done pretty soon, actually. Talia says, literally leaving for the art store. Yeah, we read that. Sorry. Okay, yeah, we got it. That is art, not... Liron, you might as well stay alive while you work all day on this stuff. Easy to listen to while doing my own stuff here. Also watch and learn. Yeah, so you know what's funny? I've been toying around with the idea of filming more and showing more of what I do, and kind of do it in a more laid-back format as I work on stuff. So literally every time I want to paint, just turn on the camera and kind of ignore it even. And maybe once in a while look up and see if there's a question and answer that. There may be some of that coming up soon. Because it doesn't really take a lot of effort from me. It does take a bit of mental resources, because I have to think about the fact that I'm, streaming and people are watching. But if I can get past that or beyond that, I literally can live stream the whole day and just work, just work as usual. So it could be interesting. It's something I have been toying around with in my mind. Maybe it will happen. Thank you so much, John. I'm happy you like the Joseph Zbukovic sketch. Harsha, are all good artists also good teachers because you get what you give? No. Some artists are great, but they're not good teachers. And some people are good teachers, but they're not great artists. Some would argue that all the time I put into teaching rather than just practicing and honing my craft is to my skills' detriment. And maybe I have more potential for growth that I'm leaving on the table, or maybe I don't. Maybe that's as good as I'll become, and maybe now I'll just go to the mean, as they say. It's two different skills, completely different. I really believe that. I've been really attracted to teaching. It just came naturally to me. It's something I wanted to do. So I probably knew somewhere in the back of my mind it's something I'm pretty good at and I can do well. But it's a different skill, I really think. Christine, yeah, knowledge gap, exactly. Yeah. Baby, everything that you made is so amazing that I'm inspired to do school and at the same time do art. I wish I can manage it and not cry from stress and laziness. I need to finish something. Yeah, I get it. It's tough. It's tough to mix. When okay, so in my third year of business, when it was time to move out of my parents' place, and let me flip through so we continue this. This is my attempt at least. As I was moving out of my parents' place, building, that's really nice. That's a very Tel Aviv building, by the way. I took a job, high-tech job, and it was very stressful to combine the two, to work on my business and the job. It was very hard. I get it. And some jobs are harder than others, and studying is very hard. My big thing would be, don't be too harsh on yourself. Here's a really nice one. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Just decide on what's realistic and follow it through. So if it's realistic to practice an hour a week, do that. I think an hour a week is the bare minimum. Maybe 3 times of 20 minutes, maybe 1 time of an hour. I think it's better to do 3 times. But you have to be able to carve out 20 minutes 3 times a week. That's you have to be able to do at least that, unless you work 3 jobs to pay through school and you have zero, financial support. Of course, some situations are tougher than others. As long as that's not the situation, if you live with your parents or if you have enough money to survive, you have to be able to carve out that time. Don't be too hard on yourself. You would have wanted it to be 5 hours a week or 6 hours a week, but it's not. So let's be realistic. Don't be too hard on yourself, right? If that's what you can devote, That's all you can devote. That's just it. That's reality. But devote it at that time, right? If you make a decision to devote an hour, do it. Devote that hour. That's my big thing. Sit down with yourself, think, plan, decide in advance, and then follow through. If you feel like it's impossible and you overshot it, that can happen. Sit down, regroup, and rethink, right? But if you make a decision, make it and follow it through. That's my thing. White Reza, thanks. I'm gonna work on that. Definitely happy I could help. Chris Barber, would you change something in the basic skull for a child? Yes. I'm not knowledgeable enough. What I would do is look at a lot of pictures. I would guess that the skull, okay, so the skull I don't know if I'll necessarily change. So it's gonna still be kind of similar, just as a ball shape. What would change is probably the length of the face. So usually with the Loomis you copy that distance right over here. So of course a baby's face is going to be much rounder, so maybe you'd end up copying half of that distance, maybe, and then you'll get a pudgier face, more baby-like, right? I think that would be a big part of it. A lot of simplified anime and manga style do this as well. They make this distance shorter and then you end up with cuter characters, like something like this. And then usually they'll have very low hanging eyes and a nose. The nose is going to be very simplified. The eyes are going to be huge. It's not chibi necessarily, but it is a very common kind of style to make the eyes huge. So eyes, larger relations between the size of eyes and size of face can also help. But I believe if you're looking at realistic proportions, I think it's that distance really that makes a difference. Not the eyes are probably as the same size, probably. I'm not big enough of an expert to look at references. That's how I would go about it. Skull, I think, is pretty much the same. I think there's also a way to match Loomis to different ages. You may want to look into that. Monica, how are you? Welcome aboard. Harsha says, do you think holding pencil on the top, having a longer lead after sharpening can make a better artist out of me? I find myself getting lines that are not organic beautiful. So my big thing would not necessarily be where you hold the pencil, but how and how the motion works. So for me, I work from my shoulder. When I want to get these long, graceful lines, I work from my shoulder. My entire hand is above paper and I'm holding it from above. You can do the same here like this, but that's a different skill and you're more limited in range. I find that this allows you to change the angle more easily, so you can get some interesting line variations if your pencil is sharpened properly, which this one isn't. You can get a lot of thin lines and thick lines depending on the direction you move in. That's the ideal grip to me. It's the most versatile. I learned it from Proco. Highly recommend you check it out. But the main thing is the motion's coming from the shoulder, not from the elbow, for these larger, more graceful lines, right? Then you want to practice, of course, this grip as well, and how you can maybe draw the same from the shoulder, but from an upper grip, and then ultimately from the elbow and from the wrist, if you really work on smaller lines. Megan says, thanks, Liron, that was really helpful, made perfect sense, happy to hear. White Razel, wow, that looks like another game changer trick, and I thought I knew perspective waterfall. No, there's a lot to learn. I learned these things recently, last year or so. There's a lot to learn, Dean says turn it into a voiceover video. Yeah, for sure I can do that. I can just film a new one. It's very fast. I should up my shorts game, and there will be some changes coming up to the to the content, and there will be visible improvements this year. Dean, thank you so much. Your ideas are always great. They really open up my mind. I really appreciate it. Jim FT, how many hours a day do you work? Videos, practicing, finished painting, social media courses. It will vary greatly on my energy and how much time I have and personal stuff I have to take care of. I would say anywhere from 5 hours on a very weak day that I will be very unhappy with, but that's rare. So let's say average 7 to 13, I would say. And sometimes when I am able to keep super busy, it will be 13, 14. It will be multiple days of that a week. Let me think about today, for example. When I woke up, so I've been working since. So I've been, usually by the time, that's how I want to say it. By the time it's, That's a good question. My work hours, generally speaking, are something like, I would say, 8 to 8 on a very broad sense. 8 to 8 because I may wake up at 8 or a bit before 8, take Ruth for a walk, do some stuff, and then start officially at 9. But sometimes I will start at 8. Then I'll usually finish my workday at 8, 8:30, 9. That's around when I finish most days. I don't finish at 5 almost ever. Almost ever. So it's usually, I would say, around the 12 hours. If it's 8 to 8, could be 11 hours. If it's 9 to 8, of course, there's breaks in the middle. There's maybe I cook food, maybe I do some stuff, errands, laundry, dishwasher, personal stuff, all of that. Just learning with time to let go of that idea of a perfect work day that has to be perfect, start to finish, start early, finish late. Some days are busier than others, and you have other responsibilities and things to do, and that's perfectly fine. But I would say that's kind of the range I'm at. So anywhere between 7 to 12 hours a day. That's probably like the most general idea I can give you. Oh, remember this snowy scene? This you can see a YouTube video, I believe, on my channel. One of my more viewed videos, I believe. So yeah, let's finish this one up. We have these steps. We have this random thing, and we have this one. Nice to finish. I have a video of me sketching this one. So final sketchbook, and we're coming up on the end of the screen. So this, I think, is also watercolor, or maybe I have 2 more. Yeah, I prepared 2 more. This one is fast. Let's go over this one. It has a bunch of crappy stuff in it, but also some good stuff. I have shown this before, but let's do this fast. I'm gonna go over this and then come back to your questions, okay? Plein air. Most of it was done plein air, and it does make a difference, even though my skill was much inferior, and this paper is inferior. So this is a Cotman watercolor paper, 300 grams at least. It's not terrible, but it's not that good too. It's a bunch of buildings, a tree. It's nice, it's nice. You can tell I did these plein air because there is some magic to them. And these are all here around this area, Tel Aviv. This is really neat. I like this reflection. It was a gloomy day. These people. And this is from, I wouldn't even remember, but was there a date here? I would guess, yeah, 2018. There we go, 2018. I had no other room to write it, probably. This was a nice one. I did a few scenes of this building. You may remember, you may have seen them. This is nice. This somehow connected really nicely. I did it on a little day trip with friends. Just sketched what was in front of me. I actually have a video of this, if I'm not mistaken, that I never posted. Never did a narration or anything. Just filmed the process for fun. Look at this. This is a mess. Plein air is so hard, even when you feel like you've caught the hang of things, 2019, just have in mind, 2019 is when I did that, I think it was 2019, when I did that hyper-realistic black and white mirror selfie portrait. Black and white, my entire body, and it was perfect. That's 1 year later after doing this. So just have that in mind, how much plein air is hard. And if you've tried it, the paint show, which will be back soon. I have another episode in the making. This guy with, what do you call it? I forget. I gotta check now. It's gonna drive me crazy. In Hebrew, it's miktoret. Miktoret in English. Forget the pipe, yeah, of course. Pipe. So he had this pipe, and this is like a real character sitting at a coffee place. This is really nice. So this was one of the portraits I was like, whoa, the first one that worked. I love the hair here. I love it. It's unique. I think it's very unique. Some more, the paint show. Nice little landscape. I really got that wet and wet effect nicely. And a lot of granulations. That's really nice. I remember doing this in my tiny Tel Aviv apartment. 17 square meters. This is another fun one. There's a lot of works here. Oh, this one you may remember. I have shown this, I believe, in a video. Yep. More the paint show. I really did a lot of episodes back then. And this is it. So we're done with this one. We have one more left. Let's see what you're saying in the chat before we continue. Let's do this. I'm gonna find something nice to open here. And I'm just gonna sit back a bit. Just feel like doing it. Yeah, okay, this is nice. These are studies I made from a book that I have by what's his name? I forgot. The guy from Urban Sketching Movement, a really good artist, French. Let's see. Just gonna sit back a bit, relax. Hopefully you can hear me well, because I'm gonna be a little farther from the computer, but let's see here. Dragonfly Art Cafe. Have you ever retrained yourself how to hold tools differently after having practiced them a certain way? Yes, my entire life I've been holding the pencil like this, and only in the last 2 years, or 2 years, I switched to this. And you can learn. You can learn it. Took me like a couple of months to get used to it, but you can learn it. What would be interesting is whether I can train my left hand or something crazy like that. That would be insane to achieve, and I do want to try that out as well. Let's see what else. If yes, what were the challenges you faced? Yeah, just awkwardness, wobbly lines, but it was worth it. It was worth it. Now let's see what else is in the comments. Judy, I'm waiting for your perspective course. What you showed this morning was very understandable to me, where the other explanations I looked at make me crazy and feel stupid. Yeah. I'll always say, I have a live stream on perspective drawing. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't. Everyone. It's super useful and will teach you some concepts really well. Thanga, what is there to be improved upon? As you say, you are good enough. There's always what to improve upon. Always. Team FT says your portrait tutorials are amazing. Thank you so much. Let me go up a bit and see what else we have here, because I missed a few, I think, messages. Aniruda, thank you so much. Happy that you enjoy the perspective concept. I will definitely keep you posted all on the perspective course. Okay, Eileen asks, when you are doing a pen and ink drawing, such as the building scene, do you usually do the rough sketch and pencil first? Yes. If it's more complex, I will do a rough sketch and pencil first. Yeah, for sure. If it's fewer details, I'll just really work slowly, figure out where a line starts, where it ends, compare it to the rest of the details, and put it in pen directly if I feel like it. Sometimes I'll even sketch with a pen, because what you can do is use the side of a pen, and you will get a very weak line that still kind of tells you where to put stuff. So you can actually sketch with the pen and then put the final lines with a pen. But to answer your question, yes, I often do this. I do. An entire class on foreshortening, says Marjorie. Yeah, we can work on that. Foreshortening actually would work the same way, like what I've shown you earlier. So this is interesting. Just to give you a quick kind of final demo, I think. So let's say you're working on drawing a cylinder, right? And that cylinder is heavily in perspective and it moves away from you like this, right? So what foreshortening does is it means this thing here, the half that's closer to us will look much larger. So the center point will actually be around here. And that's funny because when you copy this distance, see how ridiculous that is? So if that's the length and you copy it, it should be here even more extreme, right? Let me know if this makes sense. Let me do another one, maybe a little bit clearer. Let me find a fresh piece of paper. Here we go. Because I really want to drive home this point. So let's say, again, you're looking at a cylinder that's moving directly towards us. Right? And this distance, right? The middle is not going to be in the middle. It's not going to be here. It's going to be somewhere around here. Why? Because things that are closer to us, aka this half of the cylinder, look much larger than things that are farther, aka this half. Okay? This distance here is equal in reality, but on paper, they're all but equal, right? It works the same way as what I just showed you. So, if you want to copy this distance, which is in extreme perspective, right? You want to copy this distance here into perspective. Look at the center point, right? Find the center. Look at the center point. Do this. And look at what happens. In reality, this is the same size as this. That's foreshortening. Things appear to be squeezed tinier the farther they go. Okay? Now let me show you another good example for foreshortening. But that's when anatomy comes into play. and knowledge of the human figure and a lot of other complex stuff. So this is a sketch I did for TikTok of Naruto. Look at this fist, how big it is compared to literally the size of his entire face, when a fist is not, see, it's not as large. It's only as large if it's in, right, foreshortening. To do this kind of a thing, again, this hand could be portrayed as a cylinder facing towards us. This is his armpit, right? It's this area. The middle point is here. The fist is actually huge because it's really close to us, right? So this is another great example of foreshortening. And there are plenty of examples like this. The beautiful sketch I did that was really successful of my manga character has this a lot, where you're looking up at him and he's holding the hammer. So that was huge. But yeah, I'm going on a side tangent. Let's get a few more questions and then we'll flip through this one real fast. So I went back a bit, but then let's return. Aniruddha says, that was nice. I did not know that perspective distance trick, and I've assisted in teaching perspective. Yeah, perspective has a lot more advanced concepts. It takes time to learn everything and to really internalize it. Frickin' Morin says, I really like Marshall Vandroff and the way he teaches. He is hilarious whenever he comes on Proco. I love Marshall. He's like, when you look at this line, if you want to measure it, he's like, he has this rhythm to the way he talks. He's hilarious. I love Marshall. He's so funny. He always has this smirk, you know? So yeah, let's see. Escalator. Question. Usually people drawing with one of the fingers being an anchor, but there is no anchor on only tip of pencil, touch the paper. Am I smart? So I'm not sure what the am I smart means, but I know what you mean. So you mean you draw with no anchor, like no finger on paper, right? In the air. Yeah, that's something I do all the time. When I work like this, there's no anchor. The anchor is the tip of the pencil, which is why I prefer this type of pencil over the mechanical pencil I just showed you, because it's very hard to do with a mechanical pencil where the tip is so thin, and even when you hold it to the side, it's so thin you have no grip on paper. There's not enough grip, whereas with this there is grip. It's actually, I can hold it and it won't move too much. That's the anchor. That is what I use as anchor. It's not easy, but it is doable. Now look at this garish balloon. Very important to know how to foreshorten arms. Yeah. Brock, do you know when your next stream is? Yes, my streams are always the same time, like 99% of the time. It's Thursdays, 9 a.m. Eastern time, always. And I post on my Instagram story like a preview and a link. So that's how you find out. And at that time, either hit the link on my story or just go to the YouTube channel and you should see it on the video that shows up first. Is going to be the live stream. Look at this thing, LaGuardia Street here in Tel Aviv. Looks like a nightmare. I had a lot to work on. My perspective was really off here. I mean, it's not completely wrong, but it is wrong. It's full of mistakes. This is Rothschild Boulevard. This is actually a bank. So any fancy building you see belongs to a bank here. Some wet and wet experiments. Actually, not bad for this paper. This is a moleskin. Not that good of a paper. There's a lighthouse here. You can't see. All of this side is wasted. I need to reopen these and just paint on them, you know? You should never run out of paper. It's just, this was the way I did it back then. It was very illustrative, not enough realism, not enough accurate values. You know, had I painted this now again, I would go for much stronger contrasts, much more accurate contrasts. Right. Oh, this is a nice sketch. Very close to the building you saw earlier, actually. The bank. With a very interesting tree. That's why I decided to sketch this. And the way I do these, usually, I don't even believe I had a pencil sketch. I just kind of put things in. I think I just put them in directly with pen. Practice my nib pen, the one I showed you earlier, but an older one that was really bad quality, I think. And I didn't know how to use it back then, so a lot to learn. Let's see here, what else? Like an attempt at a character. Again, like this is, everything is wrong about this. The eyes are way too close. This eye should be more to the right, while this eye should be thinner. The nose here should probably be here. The mouth should be more to the right. There's so much to fix here, and I would have never noticed these things back then. Now I do. This is really nice. I love this one. So here I hit the contrast pretty well. Sky versus wall. The sky is darker, just the right amount compared to the wall. This wheel thing, this was really nice. This was like a pure luck, really. I was inspired by a tutorial I saw and then I painted it. And here we have this horrifying thing. But yeah, this is, I got lucky here. Very lucky. Some experiments. Trees, watercolor trees in the distance, weird, awkward colors. Don't even remember what brand I was using back then. Here's a study I did for a more complex painting. This grass is way too light. Way too light. There isn't enough. Okay, so to create a sense of depth, right, things should gradually become darker the closer they are. Now, grass is light sometimes. It does reflect the light pretty well, but it's still much darker than this, and there should be a progression from very light, slightly darker, darker yet again. I should pick one of these up and do like an improve an old painting video. This I love. So it's so funny. This is still messy, still bad, but I love it because I was super brave here with the color combinations and the way it turned out. And this is, I think it's based on a picture from Paris, and they have these green beautiful domes, just beautiful looking, you know. Never completed it, kind of left it open. But gosh, this is such a nice green. I love that. This was when I was learning from a guy on YouTube whose name escapes me now. I will remember later. It's been ages since I watched his videos. Another fun one. It's messy. My perspective is wrong. It's a very subtle perspective, but it's still kind of wrong. Experiments, mess. You see a lot of these things. You have to go through them to really get to something, right? Here's a study. I think this is a study of that same French guy. Forgot his name. This is nice. So here, this I painted from a photo, and this is like the beginning of what is to be my style. I think it's the type of landscape or, you know, kind of a scene that I like, rural scenes. It has those strong contrasts. It has that sense of depth, right? Of course, the colors are all off. I would do this completely differently today. Mix less, use purer colors. Get the contrasts right. This should be much darker. The grass should be much darker. The fence should be darker with lighter sections. But the basis is there. This is the hint of what's to come. This was really nice. Really enjoyed this one. We'll go through this all the way till the end, and then I'll look at some questions and we'll begin to wrap it up. I wanted today to... This is an experiment I did. I just went crazy. Sat outside on a bench and did this. I wanted this live stream to be a little shorter. Ended up being the full 2 hours plus some more. But yeah, here we go. We're done with this. So let me keep one page open of something I like this one. And let's look at some of the questions you have, and then we'll move closer to wrapping this up. Marjorie says, love the idea of improving old paintings. Yeah, definitely. That's fun. It's fun for the viewers, I know. I'll do more of that. Watercolor paper is probably too thin for watercolor, yes. Chimefti, can you recommend a couple of good watercolor paper sketchbooks, but not very expensive? Yeah, I would say the Canson Montval, which is one I like. I'm gonna write it down. I can write it from my phone. Canson Montval. Decent plus paper. It's still pulp, but it's good. It's not too expensive. You can always also use the XL, I believe it's called. Either mixed media, so XL, either mixed media or watercolor sketchbook. Pretty cheap too. I actually like the mixed media a little better than the watercolor one. Oh, WC paper, like toilet paper. Now I get it. Sorry, I didn't get it the first time. Tanga, thank you so much. You love that hot air balloon. I think it's a mess, but I'm happy you love it. Freaking Moron says, in foreshortening, I have a really hard time with the hand where the finger is pointing right at you. Yeah, because you gotta learn the finger structure. If I show you the things I went through to better understand fingers, do you want to see? Maybe I'll grab a sketchbook and show you. It's been rough. Let me show you. Let me get a new sketchbook, a relatively new one where I practice this. So, again, usually it's a gap of knowledge. So let me find maybe a few examples of this, because I definitely have them here laying around somewhere. You have no idea the trouble I went through just to better understand how to draw hands. So it's either here or in the other sketchbook. I pulled out two, and I'm gonna find it for you. And I've shown this, so maybe some of you have seen it before. I like to share a lot of what I'm doing, you know. You probably know, as you're following. I think it's here. Let me find it. I just filled in so many sketchbooks in the last couple of years, so that's how you grow. Could it be in an older one? Even older than this one? Yeah, I have so many. Oh, these are good. These are decent works. Okay, I know where it may be. Sorry, bumped the camera, my bad. I know where it may be. If it's not here, I will give up. But I think it should be here. So let me give it a try. Because I really want to show you. I know what you're talking about. It's super hard. Let me just flip in front of you so at least you see something. Noses. I'm sure it's here somewhere. Here's heavy foreshortening, by the way. Check this out. It's a bit easy to miss, and people recognize the picture this is based off of, but look at the head. 1, 2, 3. The entire body is like 3 heads tall, maybe 3 1/4, something like that. So heavy foreshortening, and it's easy to miss it, but it's actually there. Now, where did I do all my hand finger studies? Wasn't it here? So you see, I filled up so many sketchbooks I don't even remember. Oh man, last attempt. Last attempt. It has to be here somewhere. You have no idea the trouble I went through. There we go. Okay, we got it. I got it. So let me zoom out a bit. Here's Ruth. Sketch of Ruth is always fun. So let me show you. Okay, that's a phone number. Ignore that. Let's see here. Okay. So this is what the structure of the fingers look like. So every part of the phalanges, I think you call them, or the phalanxes, I don't know how to pronounce it. That's what they look like. That's the bony structure of the finger. Now to do this, you have to first understand how to do a box properly in perspective. And after you know how to do a box, then you can understand that it has 2 parts. One's like this, and then the other part is actually a cylinder that goes like that, and then you connect it to another one. And so a gap of knowledge could very well be the issue. And when you draw the finger pointing at us, you essentially do the same thing, but the cylinder is headed straight towards us, right? So something like this. And the other one behind it is maybe, I don't know where it faces, but maybe somewhere like that, right? So then the top of the finger, where the nail is, right? It has this rounded shape, and then onto the knuckle, and then back. But there's an overlap, you see? And the entire side of the finger is around here. So it's super complex, but you have to learn the basic structure of the finger to be able to do that. See? And I'm not accurate here too. It should probably be more like this. But just look at... Wait, we're going to find more, okay? I'm going to find more. There should be quite a few of these here. Let's see. Okay. Hands. Okay. Look at this 3D structure. Fingers. Right? So after I learned the bony structure, then you can start converting it to fingers. It's so fun to look at these because now I can attribute my growth to what I did here. Every bone, like every study, characters from Akira, totally random, right? It's all based on those 3-dimensional structures, all of it. The artist of Akira, I forgot his name, Himekawa, I think, something Himekawa, Toru Himekawa maybe. he knows how to do this. He knows how to do this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to draw like this, you know. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about figures and foreshortening. You gotta learn the structure first. And I had to go through to find it using going over 5 sketchbooks to find the right one. So let me keep this open on a nice page here as we answer some questions. Something nice. Here's a good one. This is a nice one. These I did studies based on Proko's video, so it's not fully mine. I learned a lot from him. There we go. So I'm happy. I'm happy that that can help in a way. Let's see. By Alexander says, wow, thank you so much. Yeah, okay, so I think we're good. We're all caught up. Let me know if you have any kind of final questions, and then we can wrap it up. John S. says, great stream. Thanks for all the motivation to put some more time into sketchbook practice. Definitely. I'm looking, you saw my reaction real time. I forgot how bad, quote unquote, I was, or a more positive way of looking at it, how much I improved over these last couple of years. And you have to understand, this sketchbook says 2021. This sketchbook says 2021. This sketchbook says 2021. That's why I didn't know which one it was, because all of these sketchbooks say 2021. So you have here 4 pretty heavy sketchbooks. These are big. Like this one's huge. Let me show you. Let me switch over here. This one's pretty huge and also thick. This is a little smaller. Can you see? And this is like a normal size sketchbook, right? Look at the difference here. I love these because they have a hardcover kind of thing, and that really helps. Let's keep it open here, and let's switch back here. So you see that it's just, you see my real time reaction as I see how much things have changed since 2019, 18. So you can do this. You can really do this. Like this, I forgot how the what do you call this one? The serratus muscle connects with the obliques. I completely, or that's not obliques, or that's the upper obliques. I'm not even sure. And these connect to the abs in a digit kind of pattern. These are hard things to learn. You have to start from somewhere, like the basics. If you put in the work, if you fill in these sketchbooks with studies of fundamentals, I guarantee that in a year, 2-3 years, you'll get to where you want to be. I really am 100% sure of it. Kanishka says, thanks for the live stream. You got it. Freaking morons. Thanks. Sorry for the trouble. No worries. Love your bean and structure in your figure drawing. Thank you. Tim FT, have you checked Psychra on YouTube? I've learned a lot about anatomy from his old videos. Yeah, for sure. Psychra, I think, has one of the best gesture drawing videos, right? When I looked for gesture drawing, I believe it was like 10 years ago. The video was already out, right? Something like, not 10, I exaggerate, but like 5, 6, 7 years ago. The video was already out, and I learned a lot from it. So yeah, there are so many good artists out there. I will say this. Try and learn from someone who knows what they're teaching. That's really important. There are far better people than me to teach these things. Perspective, because it's rules and I can structure the lesson in advance, probably I'm as good as other people. But these things, very complex anatomy and three-dimensional concepts that aren't just rules-based but experience, there are a lot of people who are better than me. But of course, if you connect with my approach and stuff like that, you will get a lot, right? But just on a macro level, find the best person to teach the thing that you want to learn. And then follow what they're doing really to the T and practice it and work on it. We're at a great age where all the information is accessible, right? You just have to find it. And it's all out there. I learned everything from free stuff and maybe a few paid courses, right? You can do this. You can skip the page too. I would say I couldn't find an alternative to Proko's anatomy course. Figure drawing, yes. Anatomy, no, because he's breaking down things insanely well. So I couldn't find anything that's a good replacement to that, because it's just the knowledge. You can either look at a course that was made for artists, or you can open up a medicine anatomy book and try and figure out how things look. You can use Proko's course and three-dimensional models and explanations and all of those tools and his drawing lessons and his premium lessons, or you can open up an anatomy book and break your head over how to draw things, right? So, you know, the right tools for the right job in a way. If you find the right tools for the right job, you will do a good job. And this course is like 97 bucks, which is, I mean, it's money. It's not super cheap, but I still am going through it for like 2 years and I haven't done it, haven't finished with it. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciated quite a lot of people today for a stream that isn't, you know, focused around the tutorial and is more like kind of talkative and me showing you work. I can definitely do more of these. I'm starting to lose track of what sketchbooks I've shown you, but what I can definitely show you is this new one that I haven't shown really properly anywhere for the next time. So yeah, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you want to learn how to paint like me, draw like me, of course, these new things I'm learning and improving, but the basic approach for drawing, I definitely have a course on that. And of course, watercolor, I have a course on that. If you want to learn how to let go, enjoy the painting process, paint with complete passion and courage, there is the frustration-free watercolor course. Many of you have gotten it, so thank you so much. Stay tuned for the watercolor realism course, which is going to give you a step-by-step method for always achieving realism in black and white, of course, but you can then translate it to color. And yeah, I just really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I have some big plans for 2022. I talked to May about this like yesterday. I have some really big plans that I'm thinking on doing, some things that will be very different from what I've done so far. And you may not feel the difference, the change at first, but it will gradually happen. I just realized how much of ambition I have to do more and to achieve more and to be able to communicate with more people. So I don't know exactly how all of this will happen, but it will happen. And I have you to thank for and no one else. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here today. I will stop waffling and rambling, as John says, waffling. And I will talk to you again in the next video, Saturday. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. I will talk to you again soon. Take care.